welcome to my third Automobilista 2 video. We are going to go back in time today with the oldest Formula 1 cars that are in the game. They're generic models. You can actually choose between two cars. This one is the car with the Ford V8 engine, and then this one is a generic car with a V12 engine. And we're going to take that one just for the sound of it. It sounds awesome. And then we're going to go to Silverstone, historic version of 1975, which in layout is really the same as what it was in the late 60s. I would say these Formula 1 cars represent the late 60s, 1967, 68, something like that, when the cars still had no aerodynamic help with wings or anything like that. We are running on all-weather tires, and we've set up the race with two weather slots. We're going to start out in rain, and then we're going to hopefully get into better conditions as the race progresses. So just to showcase you the racetrack, I am going to go and do a few practice laps and show you that Risa has done a phenomenal job with recreating the historic version of Silverstone, which, as you can tell by the layout, was basically just a bunch of runways connected together with taxiways on an old military airport. Alright, so we're starting in the pits. Unlike in real life back then, we do have a pit lane speed limiter on this car. Risa has put that on all their cars, so that way the pit lane doesn't become a mess. As you can see in the pit lane, drivers can go right through you. See that first waving fan there? Pit lane speed limiter is off, and if you look to your left here, you see the old grandstands as they were back in those days. Guardrails are pretty much non-existent. We do have some modern airplanes here, but obviously, and some older vehicles here, some really old buses and campers. So the fast S's that they have nowadays at Silverstone, it's basically just two kinks. Third one bringing you to the back part of the track, and again some more airplanes parked over there. Some old vehicles. Looks like some old VW camper vans and stuff like that. And once again, some really old grandstands. And see if we can see the catch fencing. That was really something they started doing in the early 70s. If you look on your left side here, they had these catch fences. They were supposed to slow the cars down. Well, in reality, they knocked out a lot of guys with the little wooden poles being clobbered onto the helmet. So that idea didn't last very long. But back in the 70s, that's what they thought would slow these monsters down. And then here you come back to the main straightaway. Look at these buildings on the left side. The scoring tower here, the Dunlop scoring tower. Pit lane, old pits. Really nicely done by Risa. Not really at speed here. First corner in second gear. Let the orange car, which looks like a McLaren. So, yeah, I like the sound of this V12 machine. Just a kink to the left here, and then fully on the brakes, back to second gear. These little white markers on the inside of the turns. Let this guy go behind me. There you go. Colors of a French car, Matra. Back in those days, everybody raced in their national colors. I like the screaming sound of that V12 that Ferrari is famous for. And you can see the tires, they're threaded tires. We won't have to make a tire change in the wet. when we transfer from wet to dry. And I think it'll show you a little bit about how atrocious these conditions can be. And I am definitely one to acknowledge that the guys back in those days, they were heroes driving these cars, these powerful V8 and V12 engines back in the day. Pit entrance looks a little complicated, which I'm not sure if that's authentic for that time. But here you have the pit complex. Really looks cool. Old buildings. And we're back from the practice lap. So we're going to go and skip to the end here. We're not going to qualify. We're going to go straight into the race. It's a 10-lap race. We have some bad weather. As you can see, it's raining right now. The track is damp. Well, to me, it feels like a little bit more than damp. And once again, as you can see up here in the top-hand corner, we're starting on fully warm tires. Well, that's not even going to last a lap, I can tell you that right now. There we go. See how we can do here at Silverstone. 1967 race cars in the wet, changing conditions. Very slippery. Just going to take it easy. The AI does have a tendency of bunching up and coming to a screeching halt in turn number 1. They're actually doing pretty good now. And as you can see, there is very, very limited visibility. First king to the left here. Mean to pass anybody. I'm just a little later than the guys ahead of me. I'm gonna give them a little room here. Take that kink here in 3rd gear. Everybody is being pretty careful. I think there's one more beside me there. I can't really tell. Back to the back end of the track here. Easy on the brakes. Back to 2nd gear. Slot in behind this guy. As soon as you even think about hitting the throttle, you're gonna step out that back end. Look at the spray. It's very, very difficult to see anything. Those white markers are actually pretty helpful, because this next turn, this kick to the left here, there's one sign up here, and I really can't tell where the track is going. Then we're going to the bridge. And that'll take us back to the main straightaway here. Slow. It's really, really very difficult. Keeping it low in 3rd gear. White markers on the inside. That's helpful. Definitely helpful. And back on the throttle up to turn number 1. Back to 2nd gear. And I'm just kind of following the cloud of water. It's very, very difficult to see the track at all. In real life, this would really get your heart pumping, I'm sure. The good thing about racing simulators is that you can't die, but I mean, back in those days, these guys would not know if they would make it to the end of this race. Let alone in these conditions, it's almost impossible to race, really. Back to 2nd gear, a little late. Ooh, somebody getting in trouble here. Purple car, wouldn't know what country that is. And I think that guy is sneaking back here on my left. It's okay, you can have it, buddy. Really working here to keep the nose pointed in the right direction. Back to the bridge. It's just really nothing but a cloud of water. All right, 2 laps in the books. Back up to turn number 1, second gear. Whoa. Running a little wide here, trying to avoid running into the back of that car. And there we go again to the kink. Slow down a little bit. I don't even have the balls to pass these AI drivers right now. I'm just hanging on for dear life, really. Oh, the purple car is getting back into trouble again. Whoa! Hit that blue car slightly. Hope I'm not damaged. Yeah, I'm be honest with you, I'm just happy I can keep up with these guys. Looks like the rain is already calming a little bit. Less spray on that section, and I've said this before, the way the weather changes is not exactly the same all around the track. It starts to dry out at one spot, because here you can see I'm pretty much just driving blind here. And that's what I think they are really doing a great job in trying to replicate that realism of changing difficult conditions. I think the gears are a little bit long in these cars, but obviously I wouldn't know how that would be in real life, but it feels to me like they have 5 gears, but you hardly ever make it to 5th. The sky seems to be clearing up. Somebody dropped a cone on the track there. Ooh, in the grass. Sky seems to be clearing up. It's a little bit less wet back here. And then you get to the final corner and the spray is right back again. Keep it on the asphalt here. Yeah, it seems like this line is drying out already. Definitely drying out back here. And then we go to the front of the track, and this kink here is just basically driving completely blind. It's amazing. Oops, keep it in 3rd here. It kind of feels like you're in a movie from back in the day. By the way, there is a fantastic movie called Grand Prix, which is basically the 1966 season, and it's a great story. It's got some great actors in it. It's available on DVD if you're interested, called Grand Prix. And it kind of feels like I'm in that movie right now, just not doing as good as the heroes in there. It's definitely drying out back here. But we still have all the reason in the world to be careful, because the drying part is starting to put a little temperature in the tires. But as soon as you get a wheel in the wet, it just completely takes away that tire temperature again. And this is really a tricky part. Ahead of me. And with that dry line, I'm getting a little bit more brave on my braking zones. You can see standing water here and there. Definitely a drying track here, and the sun is blinding like you would really experience in the rain when it starts to dry out on a wet track. Car inside of me got really sideways. Yeah, drying over here as well, so we're on lap 6, but it makes sense that it's starting to completely dry out. Yeah, I have the AI on 100%, same with the aggressiveness. For the other drivers, it's at 100, so giving myself a little bit of a challenge here. I'm actually haven't driven these cars very much yet since the update, and just happy to keep up with them. Because there's two things about IA, I think. You know, you can change the settings. If they're if they're way faster than you, all of them, then it's no fun. But oops, whoa! I blew the engine. Yeah, I shifted to the too low of a gear, and I blew the engine. But anyway, 6 laps out of 10. I'll take myself to the pit box and retire from the race. But yeah, just this was just to showcase a little bit about how the changing weather, changing conditions, the historic content of Automobilista 2, I think is fantastic. I'm an old school guy. I love this old stuff. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll do better in the next one without missing a gear or shifting to a low gear and blowing the engine. But that kind of tells you that in these old cars, those kind of mistakes can end your day. We'll see you next time.